how do we create sustainable models for innovation in Africa? How do we do that? If I talk Philips, normally Philips spends about 10% of its revenue on R&D, on innovation. What we are trying to do here is we are trying to include a user or consumer that normally was not included in the innovation process.
Innovation goes beyond technology. So we all hear about the cool technology, Silicon Savannah innovations that happen in Africa. But what's even more important is the business model innovation, the business process innovation. And that's extremely important because it needs to take into account things like pay-per-use models and, how can we actually get our products and services to the market? How can they afford them, whether it's last mile distribution models, etc.
If we're going to help improve lives at the grassroots, which is really the fundamental basis of what we're trying to do, Ophelia and I, why we started this business. It's very much a social business, but business has to be sustainable. It has to be profitable and commercially viable if it's going to last. But actually, we can only be commercially viable if we build a market and we build a supply chain.
And one of the things that I feel we do and we do not follow through is every time we talk about healthcare, we talk about funding. But even what we are funding, are we sure what we are paying is what we should be paying for?
I'll just focus my conversation around access to financing because that appears to be one of the most difficult things for start-up businesses to actually achieve.
I'm not hearing people talking about investing in natural capital because what we must realize is that we are living in a finite world. Our resources are limited. So if we don't invest back in the natural capital, then whatever dreams at whatever scale that we are talking about here is not going to work.
We are doing great and we are doing a lot of good things. But in listening to all of you, I don't seem to have heard the voice of Wanjiku. That's a first here in Kenya. Where is that ordinary person in all these things that we are doing? They're very good. And we need to think about that because if Wanjiku is involved, if Wanjiku is involved, definitely Wanjiku is going to buy.
It's a win-win situation. If Wanjiku benefits, the dispenser benefits, the supplier benefits, the manufacturer benefits.
I spent actually about 10 days in Kangemi with Wanjiku. About 3 weeks in Makueni in Wote, actually more understanding indeed the local challenges. So I do believe in that end user centered approach. And actually that is for me the reason why we will also have a bit of discussion afterwards on what does indeed Wanjiku want. So not only what the farmer actually wants, because that's what we are doing, but I learned already that there are actually thoughts, it's just where the source is coming from. And yes, indeed, the target is Wanjiku.
Thank you.
Great. Okay.